Hello Internet, Taliesin here and welcome to another... Oh! Damn, sorry, I just hit a branch there and it stopped my intro dead in its tracks. Sorry, let's try that again. Hello Internet, Taliesin here and... Hello Internet, Taliesin here and welcome to the weekly... Hello... Oh, come on! Hello Internet, welcome to the weekly reset. Taliesin and Evitel's wondrous wisdom show. In a week where... Oh, Witherbark, hang on. Season 1 launches in like a few hours, meaning that the honeymoon opening period of Dragonflight is over and things are going to get very serious indeed with the Vault of the Incarnates raid, new Mythic Plus and PvP season, and even new world content in the form of world bosses and Primal Storm events, as well as all of the new mounts and Drake appearances that will be available too. Basically a complete rundown, as you do. But I also want to take this episode to give you a new list of things that I've written up, which I'd like to share, called All the Things I Hate About Dragonflight. Because you may have noticed a slight lack of videos on this channel and our second channel, T&E TV, recently, and there's a good reason for that. It's because Dragonflight is actually like really good though. And the wild thing is, I don't even think that is an unpopular opinion because granted, it's been the first 2 weeks of a new expansion, and to be frank, the first 2 weeks of an expansion are always fun, but I can honestly say that I would genuinely rate this opening 2 weeks as the best 2 opening weeks of any expansion that I've been playing at the launch on. And even if everything else about Dragonflight is absolute trash, like even if 10.1 has the jailer appearing and deleting the Tuskar from history, nothing can change the fun that I have had and the absolute unbridled sheer joy that I've experienced exploring the Dragon Isles and stripping it of all its natural resources so that I can place work orders for myself that I can then complete for myself and then thank myself for the orders that I completed for myself and the profession leveling that I helped myself do. But because I'm a YouTuber and it's my job to be a complete dickhead and ruin everyone's fun, then I'm also going to balance my absolute gushing admiration of this expansion with the things I really hate about Dragonflight too. But before any of that, breaking news that popped up on my phone as I was about to record this, Blizz has announced that the new trading post will be hitting the PTR soon, and then presumably going in the live game in 10.05 or 10.1. Those mysterious buildings in Stormwind and Orgrimmar that were added at the end of Shadowlands and which we have reported on many times will be the site of a new feature that lets players earn old cosmetics, store cosmetics, and new cosmetics. Every month. According to the blue post that we are linking in the description below, there will be 1,000 traders tender on offer every month. 500 just for logging in, and then 500 to be got via themed activities. Some examples that we see in the screenshot are resurrecting a player, drinking a certain potion, emoting /love to the aspect. This is not cutting edge Razageth type stuff, you know, which can then be spent on a rotating inventory of stuff. And there will apparently be way more than 500 tenders worth of activities on offer, so you can pick and choose which ones to do as you see fit. And you know I love this idea because we made a video basically asking for this exact thing back in the olden days that no one likes to think about anymore. This is better than our idea. And the concept of a monthly event with silly challenges to buy cool transmog items is, I guess, kind of like a battle pass, but free currently. And look, I can't blame people for being a little bit pessimistic. With modern gaming being what it is, it's natural to assume that Blizzard are eventually going to find a way to incorporate a real money transfer into this sort of a battle pass kind of thing, right? Like maybe instead of doing activities, you could just pay a little bit of extra money to get those 500 traders tender. Or maybe you could get a little bit of extra traders tender with a little bit of IRL tender, you know? And I don't blame players for thinking that. But of course, that's absolute rubbish. It'll never happen. I guarantee it. No, what will happen is that after one of those new items has been in the trading post for a month and gets rotated out, they'll put that on the store. And then everyone will be like, ooh, you put that cool new transmog item that you created for the trading post on the store after its run was over? And Blizzard will be like, yeah, but it's coming back onto the trading post in, I don't know, like a year or something. It's just on the store in the meantime. That's what's gonna happen. If anything happens, and you know what? Blizzard have been doing so well recently that for now, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt for now. Because this really does seem like another example of Blizzard really buffing the core core game experience with innovations that you hope would all be part of the long-term future of the game. Talent trees, professions, dragon riding. And now this. It feels like every day is just a big dub at the moment. What could possibly go wrong? Let's move on to our main story today, Season 1. Yeah, that's right, fam. Have you been having fun sitting around in the Azure span waiting for Gruffy to spawn because the icon on the world map said that he had spawned, but when you got there, he hadn't spawned? Because I don't think he's ever spawned. But while you were there, you and 20 other people decided to chill out and do some fishing for a bit, just in case he did actually spawn, but then he never spawned. And honestly, you didn't even mind that much because fishing in the Azure span with that amazing Azure span music is one of the loveliest things to do, and actually genuinely something that you do now. Yeah? Well, forget all that because shit is getting real. It is raid time, baby, which means the first wing of LFR, but also the entirety of normal, heroic, and mythic Vault of Incarnates is out this week too, which means guilds getting back together in Discord en masse for the first time in many, many months. It means the race to world first, and much more importantly, the race to world first for guilds with names a bit like Immortalis. It means class tier sets are back in a big way, but it also means our first look at the final boss of the raid, Razageth. It means the Razageth appearance for the renewed Proto-Drake Dragonriding mount, awarded for completing the raid on a difficulty that we don't know yet, but which we will in a few hours, but I think it's fairly safe to say is Mythic. Please let it be ahead of the curve. Please let it be ahead of the curve. It means the 2 necklaces which drop from Dathia and Teros, which can be handed in for the Iskara Traders Otuk. It means the Glory Raid mount, the Raging Magma Mammoth, and just as excitingly, for me at least, we will find out what happens after the fight from a story perspective, because that is a beat that brings to a close this first chapter of the Dragonflight narrative, and hopefully sets up the next. We know that Razi's whole objective in breaking into the vault is to rescue the other 3 Primal Incarnates. Iridikron, the Stone-Scaled, Viranoth, the Frozen Heart, and Firak, the Blazing. I don't know, man, but it seems fairly likely that even though we probably defeat her, she probably succeeds in releasing those other uber-powerful, very thematically consistent other proto-dragons, and I wouldn't mind betting that whatever happens after that will set the tone for the next patch, 10.1 at least, if not the entire expansion. Iridikron has already been name-checked in a leveling cinematic, and I hate talking about this, but it's impossible to forget that unfortunate incident with the unfortunately named map file with the dev note on it, reminding someone to definitely make sure that they changed the name of the file from the very spoilery name that it had, a note that went unheeded. Whoops. Which suggests, Redbot Spoilerbot, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that we are heading underground in 10.1. And Ian Hazakostis saying in a very early interview that we would have a pretty good idea who the final boss of Dragonflight is after this first raid, i.e. after what the ending of this raid reveals. And it just feels like, doesn't it, there is going to be a substantial story beat revealed to those of us who manically rush through normal in the first hour after it's released. I would not be surprised if there is a full-fat pre-rendered Terran Gregory cinematic special even. It just feels like it's going to be that big of a deal. And I'm sorry, but this is the kind of shit I live for. You better believe I'll be watching Squishy's Wowhead stream on Twitch on Tuesday night, UK time innit, with my finger on the record button and waiting with bated breath and hoping there's enough to make a video out of too, obviously. And here's the thing, right? Dragonflight has been so good so far and hit so many right notes and been so much that players asked for in all kinds of ways that you can't help thinking, will that extend into patch rollout too? Blizz must remember what a slam dunk massive dub they got for announcing 7.1 before Legion even released, and then dropping that patch just 6 weeks into the expansion. And I'm not predicting this, okay? But I wouldn't be surprised if likewise 10.1 is ready to announce in some form. And the reason they haven't is because, well, what it's about and where it's set is kind of an obvious spoiler for the end of this first raid, isn't it? But once this raid is out, once the ending and possible cinematic is out there in the world for anyone who wants to see it, once the race to world first is over, I would not be surprised if we get a 10.1 announcement by the end of the year. I'm not predicting it, just saying I wouldn't be surprised. I think they should, to be honest. Community goodwill towards Dragonflight is through the roof right now, and they keep on adding W's to their W pile. Did I mention that raid BoEs won't actually be BoEs for the first 2 weeks of Season 1? They will start as bind-on pickup gear instead. Massive dub, well done Blizz, and that's a wave of good sentiment that it would be smart for Blizz to ride with more good news. You can never have too many dubs after all. I think if there is like literally anything to show of 10.1 at all, they should totally announce it, but that's just me. Season 1 means Mythic Plus, which has that strange mix of 4 new Dragonflight dungeons and 4 old dungeons, 2 from Legion and 2 which are appearing in Mythic Plus format for the first time. This being, of course, so that in Season 2, the roster can consist of the remaining 4 Dragonflight dungeons and another 4 new old dungeons, all of which will mean that the Mythic Plus loot table is 100% different across these first 2 seasons. A very good intention, in my opinion, although, yeah, I know, now we're here, the thought of playing non-Dragonflight dungeons in Mythic Plus right now, but I like the intent behind the idea, so I'm willing to wait and see. The new Mythic Plus affix is Thundering, which gives mobs more health, but also periodically empowers players with a buff that will turn into a stun if it's not cleared in time. A season of Thunder buff brinksmanship commences. Your Keystone Master Mount is the Hailstorm Armeridon, which looks really cool, doesn't it? Like, that is a cool ass mount. Don't look at it run. You don't need to see it run. What do you need to see it run for? That mount is legit very cool. Don't watch it run. Season 1 means new world content. There are 4 elemental themed Proto Drake world bosses, which no, are not the incredibly similarly themed Primal Incarnates, who may or may not be rescued from the Vault of the Incarnates at the end of the raid. No, these are completely different Wind, Earth, Fire, Water, and Heart themed dragons who are absolutely their own people doing their own thing. I barely even think of the Primal Incarnates at all when I look at these guys. I don't know why you even brought them up. And the Primal Storm events. These were tested on the beta, and they kind of a bit sucked, to be honest. And the very similar feeling Elemental Storm events in the Dragonflight pre-patch doesn't fill me with confidence that these are going to be all that much improved after their long testing hiatus. But whatever state they arrive in, they appear in certain parts of each zone. They are themed to a specific element, and the mobs in the area sometimes change, sometimes don't. Like I say, they were a bit of a mess on beta, but the mobs are empowered and they drop Elemental Overflow, which is what you use to buy 359 gear from a vendor in Valdrakken. But it's a really cool transmog, okay? There's also 4 Storm Sigils, which you can collect per week, 1 from each element-themed invasion, which you can use to buy 385 gear, a full set of which it'll take about 16 weeks to acquire. And I know that's not exciting to you because you're a big knob 9-carat A-grade mythic raiding Chad, but lots of people don't do organized group content, and like it or not, that's who this gear is aimed at. And me, for a little bit of bad luck protection, you know? Not confirmed, obviously, because nothing about these has been confirmed. I cannot wait for all the comments on this, pointing out everything about them that turned out to not be true in like an hour when they go live, maybe. But I'm pretty sure this gear will be the open world Season 1 gear that can be used in the Inspiration Catalyst to be changed into tier set pieces, or should I say tier set pieces, when that opens later in the season. So I think you'll agree, plenty to be excited about there, and an expansion which has, so far, been a whole lot of fun. And by fun, I mean, in my opinion, the best opening 2 weeks of any WoW expansion ever. And I mean that sincerely. The amount of time that I have spent in-game just dicking around, doing side quests, tinkering with professions, getting involved with random events like cooking a big soup, or going on a hunt, or rock climbing, or dragon racing, or digging in dirt like the dirty dirt digger I am, desperately searching for seriously like 1 work order to complete, or fishing, because apparently fishing is a thing that I really enjoy to do in game now, or baking as many blueberry muffins as I possibly can so that I can spend all my time in Tuskar form, which Blizz probably included as a way to try and satisfy everyone's desire to play Tuskar, but actually, obviously, only makes us all want, nay, need it even more. Give us playable Tuskar, Blizz, don't dick me around. Of course, I'm doing my Mythic 0 World Tour 2 and trying to stay on top of my Primal Essence so that I can craft a sweet-ass staff when I'm able to, but all that other stuff has been just because I felt like it. I love doing dungeons. I'm really looking forward to raiding again and doing Mythic Plus. I'll always log in for that, but all the other stuff has had me genuinely looking forward to playing the game all of the rest of the time, to the extent that there's not really enough hours in the day and my children are getting like really hungry. Don't worry, they'll be fine. I made them some toast a couple of days ago. Oh, I forgot to take out the toaster. I feel like one little silly activity that sums up Dragonflight and my experience in it perfectly are those silly little flags that you can plant at the top of high peaks for the Dragon Scale expedition. You get a nice chunk of XP for doing that, and it's easy XP too, because obviously you've got a dragon. It takes like seconds to complete each one, but that's not actually why I do them. I do them just because I really love the little cutscene that plays every time, with its 360 sweeping camera pan around the view that you just accessed. It's just really lovely, and I get genuinely excited whenever a new one appears on my map because I'm really looking forward to that cutscene. It's so brilliant just not to be on an overall progress timer, you know? Not to be scared that I'm falling behind on the actual important thing that I should be doing. Instead, my in-game objectives change from day to day based on what I feel like. This is going to sound like damning with faint praise, okay? But it feels like I'm playing a legitimately good video game just because it's good. And that's kind of nice, really. I mean, that's one of the things that I like to do, so. But enough of all that, okay? Here is 7 things I hate about Dragonflight. Number 7, the Windborn Velocidrake. What a prick. This piece of shit mount. It's ugly as all which is bad enough, but the thing I hate about this dickhead is the fact that when you summon it, its roar is like 10 times louder than the other 3 drakes. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Tally, it's the pro pick for dragon riding because it's so small, it's easier to avoid hazards, to which I say, I don't care, I hate its stupid face, I hate its obnoxious roar, and real Chads complete all the racing achievements with the biggest drake to show how Chad they are anyway, so the Windborn Velocidrake can off. Number 6, the stupid frog guarding the cave with the riddle that I can't work out. Look at him, stupid frog, thinks he's so clever just because every time I see the treasure on the map and land excitedly only to realize that it's the stupid frog cave treasure, I can't be bothered just opening Wowhead to check how to get in there and get the treasure, and instead I just off and get on with my day. But one day, you smug little shit, I will be bothered to open Wowhead and see what I have to do, and if it's not too hard and it doesn't take too long, like if I can pretty much do it instantly, then you better watch out. But until then, I hate the frog cave treasure. Number 5, crafting equipment. Okay, I love that crafting equipment appears on your character when you craft. It's brilliant. I love that I turn in most quests looking like my gran on a Sunday, and I'm sure that all the other profession gear is really good too, but I wouldn't know that because the massive crafting window completely covers my character, so I can't actually see the presumably sweet-ass looking tools that I am using. I also hate that the fishing hat is not actually auto-equipping profession gear and actually just like a hat that you have to manually equip like some scrub. It sucks, and it's the reason Dragonflight is a shit expansion. Number 4, legitimately, I do wish I could respec my profession's specialization tree. I know why you can't do that yet, obviously, and actually, I agree with it in principle. I agree that other people shouldn't be able to do it, but I think I should be able to. I hosted BlizzCon one time. Come on, Blizz, do me a solid, okay? Just one little respec. Number 3, that world quest where you have to put the totem down in the water to Ghostbuster the water elementals, and you have to hurt them like a little bit, but not too much, and some dickhead always kills it because other people are the worst, and this world quest is the worst, and it can eat my shit and hair. Number 2, people who overfish the fishing hole next to the ruby life pools. Just do the dailies, man. Replenish the stock so we can all set our nets and fish up massive conches for whatever they're used for. Look, I've got a feeling they're good, okay? So just keep the fish stocks up, okay? Blizz just changed it, so when you do the fish hand in to the restock fish guy, you get like 200 Iskara Tuskar rep for that. And on the subject of that fishing hole, I hate that I always forget to go and get my fish from the nets, which is technically, I guess, kind of my fault, but also I hate it though. Number 1, flying that isn't dragon riding is the absolute worst. If you have to die and get on the ghost dragon, which is a tiny bit faster than old flying, believe it or not, or even worse, have to go to the old world for some bullshit reason, oh man, it's like slow torture. Dragon riding is awesome, told you, but it's genuinely ruined the rest of the entire game because there is no way we can go back to starting a new expansion without it, and there is no way that we can be expected to survive if it isn't introduced to the old world as soon as possible. I don't know if you'd have it just our Dragon Isles Drakes enabled, or any Drake skeleton mount, or what, but it needs to happen or else WoW is dead game mate. And I mean, obviously it will happen, so I mean, yay in advance. I also am certain, by the way, that by the end of the expansion, there will be a Druid Dragon Riding flight form on the table too. Okay, that's everything I hate about Dragonflight for now. I guess I'll see you next week for more things I hate about Dragonflight because it sucks so bad. Evie's not here at all this episode because we're so late recording it and she's playing Dragonflight. Okay, bye!